Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. What about this for a late Christmas present? Stewart Robson with us here in the studio. No games today, but of course still plenty to talk about. We broke the news late on in yesterday's extra time, didn't we? Because Mikel Arteta was asked after that win against Ipswich to address the rumours that Saka in fact had surgery.
He had a procedure, everything went well, but unfortunately he will be out for many, many weeks. I think it will be more than 2 months. I don't know exactly how much longer. I think it will depend, how that scar tissue starts to heal, the first week or so, mobility of that. Let's see, it's very difficult to say.
Mark Ogden joins us. We'll hear from Mark in a moment. But Rob, I want to start with you. More than 2 months. This is an obvious blow. Is this a blow between Arsenal winning the title or not?
It could be, because there's two players that Arsenal miss more than anybody else. We've seen it with Odegaard earlier on in the season. They missed his creativity. And Saka is one of the best players in the Premier League. He's the player that can deliver crosses. He's the player that the opposition fear the most. And if he's not in the side, a lot of their creativity will go. Martinelli played on that side and did OK when he went against Crystal Palace and did OK the other night. But Arsenal are not the same team without Odegaard and, more importantly, Saka.
And that was kind of epitomised yesterday. They got the win, Mark, but boy, was it boring.
Thierry Henry was on TV in the UK last week saying that when Arsenal play with Martinelli on the left, they've become very, very predictable because everyone knows that he doesn't go past his man, so they automatically go to Saka. And oppositions now know that Saka is the guy that everything Arsenal create goes through. So if he's not available, if he's not in the team, then they do lack creativity. I mean, Odegaard was a big player against Ipswich, but I don't think that he has that same kind of explosive creativity that Saka does. So without Saka, it is going to be really hard for Arsenal unless they bring somebody in the window. But we know that they're already short of a striker, so if they're looking for a striker and a winger, maybe this is the time that Raheem Sterling steps up, but he's not had much of an impact so far. So I just think Saka's irreplaceable for what Arsenal have.
Can Arteta do anything with regards to his tactics to try and make amends for the lack of Saka? Like, how do you address it?
It will never be quite as good. I think all he'll do, he'll change
Trossard
and he'll bring Martinelli to one side of the field.
Yeah.
What he quite often does is tries to overload certain areas. They're very good down that right-hand side, and Havertz, whether he's playing centre forward or whether he's playing in midfield, will try and join in as well. Jesus, who's back in a bit of form against Crystal Palace, we saw that on a couple of games. He will have to try and go into wide areas at times. There'll be a lot of crossover and movement from the front three. But you cannot replace somebody of Saka's quality. Defences are set up to play against passing football. Now, Arsenal have a player in Saka that can go past people that close him down. He can go past defenders on both sides, and that's the key to it. He can go inside onto his left foot, he can go down the outside onto his right foot, and he can beat people. And that's what's going to be missing from their team.
The general consensus, as we just take a look at the odds, is that Liverpool are favourites, and if anyone's going to push Liverpool, it will be Arsenal.
Yeah.
And the bookies kind of back that up, don't they? 7-2, obviously Chelsea falling off of late after that draw and then defeat against Fulham. Does this make a difference in the sense that, are we talking about a one-horse race now?
No, I don't think it's a one-horse race, because every team will have a blip. And I still think
this is a blip where your best player's out for every 2 months.
It's a blip, but at the moment we don't know what that. We think it's going to cause them a problem. We think that they're not going to be the same side, but are they still going to be good enough for most of the teams that they play against? It might cost them in the very big games. It might cost them in the Champions League.
Yes.
But against the weaker sides, like we saw against Ipswich, although they didn't play particularly well, they were still too good for Ipswich, and they're going to be too good for most teams they play. And at some point, Liverpool are going to have a blip. Of course, Liverpool are favourites by quite some way, but I still think Arsenal will push them.
Do you agree, Mark?
I think Saka is a massive blow. I mean, if he's out to marks, that is their best attacking player, so they have to find a way to replace that. And as we know, Arsenal don't score enough goals, they don't take enough chances. So if you've got one of your best players, I think he's the second highest scorer behind Kai Havertz, it's going to be so hard for them to replace him. So for me, I still think Chelsea are the biggest threat to Liverpool, even though it's a distant threat. And I know they lost against Fulham in week, but I just think Arsenal lack something, and without Saka, they lack even more. So unless they do something big in January, and I've not been given any indication that's going to happen, then I think Arsenal might struggle. I think they may even drop off.